If you've ever wanted the formula to scale from idea to 10 million or 8 figures, you've clicked on the right video. So here's some sad news. Less than 1% of companies ever break through not only to 7 figures, but to 10 million in revenue. And the founders that get there, they're not smarter than you, they're not working harder. They've just found the right leverage points to focus on. And they do it by following a very specific set of principles that I've seen work for every single company I've worked with that's gone towards 10 million or more. I call these the 7 laws of scaling. I've personally used them with my agency Growth Hit to help clients generate over $250 million in sales. So in this video, I'm going to give you all of the laws in order of how to do them. And I'm very confident that as you go through this, you're going to have this light bulb moment where you start to really understand the thing that's blocking you from getting to that next level of growth from 7 to 8 figures. And I'll give you the playbook on what to do to march towards hitting 8 figures or more. All right, so law 1, market selection is the ultimate unfair advantage. I want to ask you a question. Are you in a market that's growing, or are you in one that's flatlining or dying? Because the companies I've seen scale the fastest weren't outworking the competition. They were just in the market at the right time. A great example is Rora. They sell a countertop water filtration system that hit 8 figures in under 2 years. They didn't reinvent water filtration. They just rode the wave of people becoming more aware and concerned about microplastics and PFAS in their tap water. So instead of asking, hey, can I grow in this market? Ask a different question. Are you in the right market to begin with? Because if your market is shrinking or dying, no amount of ads or positioning or landing page tests will save you. I've learned this the hard way. When I was working with a client that made really cool watches at the time, they were kind of old school, but here's the thing. The market for that watch market was shrinking as everybody was moving towards smartwatches and wearables. And so nothing they could do from a tactical perspective could save them because of the strategy in the market they decided to be in. When it hits like that, that's really tricky, right? So the obvious question is, how do you actually know if you're in the right market right now? So I think about this 4 different ways when trying to assess if this is the right market. So the first one, total addressable market, meaning is this category growing or dying? And is there enough room for you to actually scale inside of it and take market share? The second is buyer type. This one's big. So what I mean is, are you going after a market of people where the buyers are proactive, their wallets are out, they want to throw money at this, they have a line item to hand over dollars for this? Or is this a nice to have, not a must have? They're price sensitive and they can't afford you. That is the difference between scaling in a market. The third is competitive advantage, meaning do you have any kind of real edge to win in this market? Or are you just in the sea of sameness with all the other companies doing the same thing? And the fourth one, this one's the hardest, is timing, meaning are you too early or are you too late? Are you showing up right at the right time where you can start to take market share? This is the hardest one, but also the most important. If you can confidently say yes to all of these, you're in the right market. And if you can't, that's where you want to think about making some changes or tweaks. Let me give an example of that. We were working with a kitchenware company that did cast iron pans and skillets. Their business was kind of shrinking. They weren't growing. Cost per acquisition was really hard. And so we aren't going to burn down the business and start something new, but we started to see this group of early adopters come in. People that love the product for very specific reasons. Like, my kid has a nickel allergy and I want cast iron because these are the cleanest products. Or people that are worried about lawsuits on other D2C cookware brands that might have PFAS or other toxic chemicals. So once we understood that, we didn't change the company, we changed the positioning to go after a market of, hey, do you want to cook but be able to sleep easy at night, that you're using clean cookware for your family? That was the big unlock to allow them to double their business. So notice how we didn't necessarily enter into a new market, we repositioned a segment of the market we're going after to ride a wave that was just blowing up in a positive way within this market. All right, law 2, products that can scale are designed for repeatability. So you can pick the perfect market and the business can still have a cap if your product can't be delivered at scale without you being present. So to test this, there's a few simple things you can do. You need to ask yourself, can I sell the same product or SKU again and again without getting on a plane or doing customization? Do I have to hop on a Zoom call? Am I building something new from scratch every time? If you're having to do this custom work, if it isn't repeatable, you don't have a scalable product yet, and you're not going to be able to hit 8 figures. You can probably hit 7 figures, but then you're going to burn out. So that's why I love single SKU products to get to 8 figures. A great example of this is Jolie. So they sell a $350 shower head, and it's a shower head with a filtration system, so you have clean water whenever you're taking a shower. No chemicals or anything will hit you because of the filter. The other beauty of this product is you have that upfront cost of the hardware, and then every 90 days you're replacing the filters. That one SKU with the filter replenishment cycle allowed them to scale to mid 8 figures in under 5 years. Single SKU product. So one product to bring in the customers, one subscription that keeps them coming back again and again. No custom work, no new colors, no new sizes, no customization of monograms, one single SKU. And they got to 50 million in 5 years doing just that. And the lesson to take away is your product has to be designed to sell at scale from day one. The question to ask yourself is, can you turn a one-time purchase into a recurring one, whether that's a consumable like a Groons or a supplement, or the Jolie filtration system with their subscription, or is it a product people will come back and buy again and again, like an essential menswear brand? If you do not have customers that come back again and again, that's the first thing you need to fix before you invest more money in traffic. Or you need to be a product that has a really high average order value, so your cost per acquisition is low enough that you can always be first purchase profitable. All right, law 3, cash flow is leverage. This one is big because if you want to grow to 8 figures, the question I have for you is, how much growth can you afford? And your cash flow answers that question. So most founders measure business by how much money's coming in, top line looking at revenue. But that number is super misleading. It's a vanity metric. What actually determines how fast you can scale is your cash conversion cycle. What does that mean? Well, in simple terms, that's how quickly you spend money to acquire customers and how fast it comes back into the business to reinvest in growth or inventory or ads or people. The faster the cash comes back, the faster you can put that to work to grow. Now, take my brand Neat Apparel, for example. We sell sweat-proof shirts. And so when we want to scale, it's a tough game because if we want to double the business, I have to double my inventory buy. I put the order in and then I get that inventory in basically 120 days or 90 days if I'm lucky. And so I only see the return of that investment after I get the inventory and then I sell it. So we've had to do some things to get creative. We've done pre-orders to get the money up front to then buy inventory. The other thing is we've really pushed to have a higher average order value. So not just selling one t-shirt at $50, but a bundle of shirts at $120. So we have more cash up front that we can use to invest in ads or those inventory buys. But again, the business model I would say is a B when it comes to the cash conversion cycle. A beautiful business with a cash conversion cycle is any digital products where you acquire the customer, you get the money right there, and then you're able to deliver that digital product that you made once again and again and again. That's why people like software businesses, right? Because of the nature of the profit margins that go into that, of getting the cash up front. And so that's why digital businesses can scale much faster than physical ones. The cash comes back instantly so you can keep reinvesting in growth. Now, the 3 numbers you need to know cold are payback time, lifetime value, and contribution margin. So what's payback time? It's simply how fast you get your money back after investing to get a customer. And that could be running a Facebook ad. You put money into the Facebook ad. When do you get the money back? The second one is lifetime value. How much money will your customer give to you over time? Usually I like to look at this in increments of 90 days, 180 days, a year, or 3 years. And you can also look at your lifetime value, could be lifetime value of revenue, but I like to look at lifetime value of profit. Ideally, be a 3-to-1 ratio of your lifetime value to CAC. And now contribution margin is the third one. This is basically how much profit do you have after every transaction? Meaning you spent $50 on Facebook to acquire the customer. Maybe it costs $50 to make the product, but they spent $200. 200 minus 50 minus 50, that's a $100 contribution margin. That $100 is how much you can invest in inventory and in growth. And so start with those three numbers to understand where you stand and how much growth you can afford. And if they're off, that's where you want to make some tweaks. And real quick, I actually wrote a book called The 7 Laws of Scaling that goes way deeper into each of these 7 laws with the exact frameworks I've used to help brands scale past 8 figures. And you can get it for free. Got a copy for you. Just click the link in the description below, and I hope you enjoy it. Law 4, clear positioning. Now, here's something I tell every founder I work with. If your positioning is unclear, it makes everything else more expensive. Your ads cost more because nobody knows exactly why they should click. Your sales cycle gets longer because your prospects are confused, don't know why you're different from competitors, and your conversion rates drop because people land on your site and they aren't even sure if it's right for them. So the 7-figure founder is asking the wrong questions. They're saying, hey, with my brand and positioning, how do I look more professional? Should I redesign my website? Hey, can you make my brand look like insert this competitor? The 8-figure founder, they start asking the right questions. And it's simply this, not necessarily how do you get noticed, but how do you become unforgettable? The key thing is there, you want to be unforgettable. You want to be remembered because you're owning a part of a market where you have a mini monopoly. So being unforgettable matters way more than being the best. And the best example of this is Liquid Death, right? They sell water in a can. Talk about a commoditized space. And that's it. The product is really no different from any other premium water you can get at the store. But their personality is so loud with a skull logo, heavy metal branding. They have taglines like murder your thirst that you can't forget them once you see that can. And they've taken a different form factor by going from bottle to can, making it look like a beer. So the product, it's in this commoditized market, but the branding takes a different form factor. It speaks a different language. So you're going to remember it. So at Neat, we thought through this whenever we're launching. Again, we're in a crowded market. We didn't want to go after all t-shirts. We had to choose a specific segment, and it's shirts that hide sweat. Hey, you have your favorite shirts, keep those. But if you want a shirt that hides sweat, that's us. But how do we say that? How do we say that at scale through advertising? And that's where we came up with the water balloon test. So in our ads, we essentially take a water balloon, pop it inside the shirt, and show the magic of it, right? The water doesn't come through, but instead on the inside, it spreads out. That way it doesn't look like you're pitting out. And so that magic moment, that demo is how people remember us. So whenever we're doing ads, the main thought was remove everything that gets in the way of extreme demonstration. Let the product speak for itself. So 1, we're memorable with extreme demonstration, and 2, we're differentiated. Why we're different from other shirts. How do you figure out what's right for you? So what you want to do is find that one thing about your product or service that's really hard to forget. That way, once people see it or hear it, it sticks. And then build your entire go-to-market marketing funnel around that one thing. Where I think a lot of people go wrong is they're going to market with feature soup, talking about all the features you work so hard to cultivate. That's not the right language. I would go from feature to start thinking about not only just benefits, but what problem do those benefits solve with problem solution format? And then above that, go to use case. Because when you speak use case, you're making it so much more customer-centric to really understand when and how they would use this. So again, for Neat, we went through a lot of different experiments of ads that were feature soups, benefits that didn't really work at scale. And how we came up with the water balloon test was really getting to the essence of like, okay, what would be the most memorable thing, right? Is it showing a guy with pit stains and one without? Is it showing different scenarios of your nervous pitching and the problem of pit stains? Those worked okay. But once we were like, hey, what's the most extreme thing we could do? Like, let's pop a water balloon. We did that. We tried that. Whenever we ran the ad, we had the water balloon popping within the first 3 3 to 5 seconds. And that was the magic moment. That was the thing that allowed it to scale because it was different from every other t-shirt you've seen. So be relentless about really figuring out what's that thing that doesn't necessarily make you better, but makes you different, but also makes you unforgettable. So you can own a section of the market. And if you do that, everything else will be easier. Law 5, rented traffic is borrowed time. Owned audiences can compound forever. So when I'm thinking about scaling with traffic, I want to talk about a stat that I heard that I think about all the time. And here's the stat. 70% of the time when you're making a purchase, you go with the brand you heard of first. So what does that mean? That means that if you are first to winning the mind share, that when someone's going to make a purchase, they're going to go with the brand they heard of first, the brand that educated them on a category, that told them about features and benefits. When they're doing comparison shopping, they're going to come back to you. So if you're going to grow and scale, not only do you have to have the right message at the right time, but you need to get to them early enough where you are the trusted partner and solution. So with that in mind, how do we think about growing and scaling? So the next concept that we think about is engineered growth. And so whenever we're looking to grow over 12 months, I think of growth in 2 simple categories. What channels are always on that we're always doing, and ideally ones that compound. For example, we're always doing Instagram ads, meta ads, getting them to the website, but then we have the funnel to capture their email to get their purchase. So we paid to get them, but we're letting it compound through email. So that's one category of growth, which is always on. But there's a second category, and it's marketing moments. If you have your always on channels going like ads and SEO and cold outreach, what are your marketing moments? And the most impressive brands I've seen scale to 8 figures are the ones that make noise at least 2 to 3 times a month to make you care that they exist, to engineer demand, to create demand. So examples of that would be Amazon having Amazon Prime Day. As you can imagine, July is a slow month for e-commerce because everybody's traveling. So Amazon Prime made Prime Day, and that's why it's almost as big as Black Friday, Cyber Monday. That could also take the form of doing partnerships, product launches, podcast tours, picking a fight, writing a trend, different collaborations. And so when I'm thinking through growth, I'm looking at that content calendar. What are my always on channels? What are my marketing moments? And am I going after that 70%? Meaning people that will buy from us because they heard of us first. A lot of time we're guilty of marketing at bottom of the funnel with people ready to buy. But if you market too late, you're in a comparison shopping mode and you've already lost. So you have to invest early, also known as top of the funnel. So let me give you an example with how we think about this with Need. So with Need, we absolutely wanted to invest in educating people about our product and the problem that we solve. So a lot of our direct response marketing is going to a cold audience just to give them fun content, showing the problem we solve in creative ways. But the always on channel is absolutely paid acquisition with Meta, Instagram, TikTok, and Google to get people into our ecosystem to eventually buy. But we have a good compounding engine because we have a 20% email sign-up rate with our email pop-up. And then once people get into the email flow or they do their first purchase, they're in our email CRM. We can text them through SMS to get them to come back again and again. And we know this works because we have a cost per acquisition of about $50. They spend about $150, and then they're going to buy 2 to 3 products from us within the next 30 to 45 days. So that always on channel is compounding. But let's talk about the marketing moments that we've been doing. We're launching 2 new colors every month. Those are 2 marketing moments. We basically invented a holiday, which is National Sweat Day, where we do one of our biggest campaigns of the year. We've also started to do partnerships. We do collaborations and partnerships during our slow season around Q1 to give people a reason to care that we exist. So as we look at the calendar throughout the year, we're basically saying, what are these moments where we can create demand? And when do we capture it? We capture it during our peak season of the summer, and we capture it in Q4 because it's a very giftable product. So things to think about when you're looking to engineer growth at scale. Are you winning that 70% rule, meaning 70% of people go after the first brand they heard of? And then second, have you engineered growth with your content and marketing calendar, with your always on tactics and your marketing moments? Law 6, conversion compounds everything. This is the part of the business I'm the most obsessed with, because if you double your conversion rate, you effectively double the value of every dollar of traffic you spend to get to your website. Every ad gets twice as efficient, every email open is worth twice the amount of revenue, and every search ranking is worth that much more in sales. That's why I tell people, before you spend more money on ads, fix what's happening once that traffic lands on your website. Blown away when people will overspend on ads and underspend on their funnel. The 8-figure version of this question is this: how do I remove the reasons don't buy before they come up? What are those objections or points of friction that will happen regardless of the category you're in that get in the way of a purchase? A great example is what we did with a brand called Turtle Travel. They sell essentially a neck pillow that costs double what you would get at the airport bookstore. The main objection of this one was around skepticism and price. It's different looking, it's weird, people were confused, and they didn't really know if it would actually work. And so we had a lot of things to work against on this one. So first, we had to remove confusion. We showed images and a GIF of how it works. So that was step one. The next issue was around skepticism. Will this even work? Is it worth the value? So we had to lean into not just testimonials and reviews, but ones that address that point of friction. Because if people are buying this, they're going on a red-eye flight. So we put things like never slept better on a red eye, turn my middle seat into first class. But the big unlock for them was we started to understand that when people travel, they're traveling in groups or in pairs. We defaulted to bundles, to packs, to kits. So not only did we lift the conversion rate, we lift the average order value. And to talk about those foundational elements and how those compound for this brand was the biggest unlock. And so as their conversion rate goes up, their AOV goes up, they can reinvest in inventory, in ads. It allowed them to scale from not just the US, but to 8 other international markets and go from 7 figures to mid 8 figures, all because we could fix the foundational elements of their conversion rate on their website. Law 7 around scaling and expanding, where really the founder has to stop being the bottleneck. Now, this last law is the one I had to learn the hardest way. The company can only grow as fast as the founder gets out of its way. A year ago, my youngest daughter was diagnosed with a rare bone cancer, and overnight I had to step out of the day-to-day of the companies I run. She's doing great now, and prognosis is awesome. But during those months, I couldn't be the run doing everything. I couldn't go back to the main tool I have in my toolkit, which is work harder, grind harder. But what happened next was wild when I had to really think about scale by delegating and empowering people. Meet had its best 2 months ever, doubled from the previous year. The agency hired people without me. They launched a new AI product without me and were able to scale because of those systems. So most founders never reach this point because they're too busy being their hero. They're too busy in firefighter mode, being reactive rather than proactive. But the companies that scale past 8 figures, it's not about how they do it, it's who they have do it. And it's empowering the people, giving them playbook or letting them create the playbook or the systems to scale. So that founder, that founding team can get out of the way. And the fastest way to start building this kind of leverage is to stop creating brand new things from scratch every time and start repurposing what's already working and think of systems, think of processes rather than, being this hero that has to swoop in. So one kind of fun example is we're testing different ads for need, thinking of ideas. I kind of came up with a few different frameworks on how to demonstrate the product. I picked up my iPhone one afternoon, found a kid's water balloon, recorded the video, and I submitted it, and I was like, let's run an ad for it. The team started to understand, and I just empowered them to think like this when we're doing different go-to-market campaigns. So they took this and ran with it. They found creators, influencers of different persona types, old guys, younger guys, women, just start to do this. And they even expanded on different ways for extreme demonstration that were super fun. And that allowed us to scale from $9K per month to over $150 $56,000 per month and counting. So the bigger lesson in this is, as you start to grow and scale, we have to let go. We have to stop being the hero in every single project and start building a business, empowering people to run a system that can scale without you, so you're not in every single decision. So those are the 7 laws for every business that wants to scale past 10 million in sales per year. And the main goal of this video was to help you get an idea of which one of these laws is preventing you from scaling right now. But if you want the full breakdown and the exact frameworks, case studies, the step-by-step templates for each of these stages, I wrote a book called The 7 Laws of Scaling, and you can get a free copy by clicking the link in the description below. It goes way deeper than this short YouTube video. The book walks you through first how to kind of grade and assess the business on these 7 laws, and it gives you the exact methods I use at my agency and with our clients to help unblock what's stopping you at each law to move to the next one. So it's very much a tactical playbook you could run yourself, or our agency could help you with. So again, click the link in the description below if you want a free copy. And if you want to see what happened when I actually let AI run my $1.5 million e-commerce brand for 30 days, check out this next video. It was eye-opening and fun and terrifying all at the same time.